Okay, sound good?
Sounds good.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Father James, and you may recognize the construction mug. Now, the last time I used this mug to talk about the meeting that took place last week, some of you gave feedback and said, in spite of me asking for your feedback about what this image was, you couldn't see the image because it was out of focus. So my apologies for that. So here it is in focus. You can see it's a lovely mug, and I'm still not entirely sure what this kind of yellow construction thingy is. So again, maybe in the show notes you can tell me what it is. I'm using this mug again because I want to speak to you about the meeting that happened this past Thursday night here at Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish. Now, full confession here, I'm actually making this video talking about the meeting that happened last week, a couple of days before it actually happens. So since I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not going to presume that the meeting was an absolute blowout success and everyone was excited and happy, I'm not going to presume any of that, although I'm quite sure that's probably going to be what happened. But because I'm not going to presume, I'm just not going to comment at all about how the meeting actually went. So no more of that, nothing else. Instead, I want to talk to you about the content of what was shared, especially for those of you who were not able to be at the meeting. First of all, we presented actually an overview of the state of our buildings at both present locations of Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish. So not just here at the St. Peter's site, which is going to be the site of a major renovation, because this will be the main center, but also our vision includes having a physical presence in North Dartmouth. And right now, we're occupying and using the buildings, the traditional buildings at St. Anthony's Parish. The former rectory is now the House of Hope for men recovering from addictions and transition from homelessness. We've got the hall. We are housing our food bank, which serves about 130 families a week. We have the organization Nourish, which deals with food security. It's a secular organization we're partnered with. We have the emergency homeless shelters and the main church. Obviously, we have the chapel, which we have daily mass twice a week, and we have the mobile food mart, which supplies fresh produce to people in need. And we have a couple of other initiatives as well. So a lot going on in that location, but we do have some long-term plans that we're hoping to clarify in the next number of months. We spoke about that at the meeting. We're working with Happy Cities to look at the potential to develop that site to have a ministry presence and also for long-term affordable housing. We also have to do a lot of work to figure out, before that can happen, even to keep the place running short-term, there's be quite a bit of deferred maintenance that we need to do. And so what makes sense, what do we need to do, etc., is an ongoing debate. So we wanted to fill you in on that situation. But the main content of the presentation was our plans for renewing this building. Way back when I first came here, about almost 4 years ago, we went through a process called New Foundations. And what that process led to was an examination and discernment of, where are we right now? Where is God calling us to be? And part of that was our dealing with our physical building, our buildings, which we had 4 sites at that time. We had lots of buildings. And we launched from there a committee, a separate committee, called an options committee. It was looking at 5 basic options. And the option that we landed on was the renewal of this central building. We did an extensive engineering study of this building, found out that the bones are solid, but the building itself is from the late 60s and needs a lot of work, needs a lot of updating, not just to restore it to its original integrity, but to make it the kind of building that's going to serve not just our present needs as a church, but for the next 60 years. And so from there, we eventually had a dreaming committee, which led to several larger meetings in which we discerned what kind of values we'd like to see in the building. We looked at, try to look into the future and anticipate what does it mean to be a missionary church into the future. And then we had some meetings where we even looked at creative use of floor space. All of that information went to the architectural firm. And for the last year and a half, we've been working with the architectural firm ZAP. Some of you have seen some original concepts. We went to the diocese. We got the green light to pursue the idea, because part of the idea was to, what is now behind me, which is presently the entrance to the church, will become actually the sacristy of the church. That will become the back of the church. Why? Because our neighbors are building an apartment building just across from our front doors in the corner lot. I showed you a picture of that a couple of weeks ago. And so there's been several iterations of renderings of what the building would look like. And one of the things we showed at the meeting this past Thursday was a high quality animation, a flyby, and you can see it right now on the screen. We're just giving you a little teaser, a little peek, a little 5-second peek. You can see it looks pretty cool. We also have a number of other drawings that we would like to show you as well. Okay, so here on the screen is the URL. Rather than having the whole video, in this video, we're just giving you a little taster, and we're going to send you to this link on our website. Actually, in the show notes below the video is the actual link. You can just link to it, and it will take you to a page that will show you the full video and give you other information. And so we'd love for you to be informed to take a look at that. Now, I want to, just in conclusion, remind you about where we are in the stage. This is still very much at the stage of idea. I think it's important for us as a community to have as our primary goal to discern, to prayerfully, carefully discern what is God calling us to do. And that's where we are right now. We need to do that first before we can actually make a real plan to do it. And so, although these drawings, these animations, yeah, they look really detailed, but it's still at the conceptual level right now. They're simply ideas. It's not concrete. It's not. They're not plans. We've got a lot of work to do before we get there. So we need to land. Basically, what is God calling us to do? And because I really believe our starting point can't be what can we afford to do. Because then we're really limiting, I think, what God might want to do in and through us. Now, dreaming or ideas eventually has to hit against reality, and we'll deal with that at the time. But let's begin with the dream. You know, Michelangelo once said that the greatest danger is not that we aim too high and we miss, but that we aim too low and we hit the mark. We don't want to aim too low. Let's aim big, and let's carefully discern this. And we can only do this with your feedback, with your input. So these drawings, these animations, they're ideas. Now, once we get your feedback, then we have to, and we get a closer sense of what it is we believe we're called to do. Then we've got to move more towards, can we actually do this? That's a question of maybe the next level of working with engineers and soil samples and such, which is the next step. But before we can proceed with any of that, we need to get permission from the Archdiocese to go to the next level, to see if this is actually truly possible, and to get a really accurate sense, close to accurate sense of what this might cost. So before we do that, when we go to the diocese, we're also going to need an approximate sense of cost. And so that's what we're going to be working on in the next couple of months, and also a plan about how we might pay for this. And generally, just so you know, the rough plan is that the majority of the cost of this project would be covered by the recycling of our physical assets, i.e. the land and the properties that belong to this parish. And I think again, this is an idea, it's not a plan that roughly I think a rough goal would be, it would be amazing if we could have 90% of the cost covered by use of our land, and then the remaining 10% would be covered by a capital campaign and by a mortgage, a relatively small mortgage compared to the overall price. So that's where we are. We received feedback at the meeting. We're going to try to create other opportunities for people to engage with this material. And please, if you've got any feedback, if you're a parishioner, if you have a stake in this, if you're bought into what we're trying to do, we would love to hear from you. So Thanks, everyone, and God bless.